Hi, Misha here, and you already know what this video is going to be about based on the title. The A6M Mitsubishi carrier fighter, the Zero. Isn't that what you came to see? No, we're going to talk about this rifle here, the Japanese Arisaka Type 0 Takedown or Paratrooper rifle. This is chambered for 7.7 by 58, the new and the standard cartridge in World War II for the Imperial Japanese Army and Navy, and it's pretty rare. I did a little gun of the day teaser on it, but now it's time for a full video. And to help out a bit, I brought out my Type 2. This is its successor in the standard production takedown rifle. But before we get to those, I also just nabbed a Type 99. This one's still covered in Cosmo, which also means it's covered in cat hair. I apologize. Haven't decosmoed it yet. But yeah, this is the standard Type 99 rifle, relatively early production. These were developed in the 1930s based on the Type 38, using lessons learned from the Chinese conflict. Japan had been intervening in China first in 1932 with the Shanghai incident, and then between 37 and 39, especially with the beginning of the Second Sino-Japanese War. One thing they learned, 6.5, great round for anti-personnel. Not very good for punching through thick foliage, light armor, or trying to shoot down biplanes. So they adopted 7.7, which was basically the British .303 round, but whereas .303 had a rim, Japanese 7.7 was rimless. Basically the same. Along with that, they adopted some new manufacturing techniques to streamline production. They also introduced a chrome-lined bore and bolt face, a first for a military issue gun, which would help them a lot in the Pacific and is actually the reason why a lot of Arisakas still have good bores today. This is still based on a modified Mauser bolt and magazine, but simplified and made a little more durable, honestly. It has the aircraft sights that are often mocked, but really actually made a lot of sense. Again, if you kind of think about the conflict in China, you could easily use massed infantry shooting these in volley to harass, either drive off or even shoot down an old biplane. So they made sense at the time, and they don't really add much weight or anything. And let's be honest, they just look cool. And of course you have this monopod, which actually, makes sense. It's not a full bipod, but it also doesn't really add any weight or bulk to speak of. And it gives the soldier something to rest the muzzle against. And even when it's folded up, that means you're resting two wires against, say, a concrete barricade or something, as opposed to the wood of your stock. So, I don't know, it made sense. I've also thought the cleaning rods in these are neat. They're not screwed in. They're actually just held in with a push button, making them easy to get in and out, and also meaning you don't have to worry about the threads getting crossed up and mixed up. The front side is equally fine. I mean, it's protected. And the barrel's about a little under 26 inches long, making this firmly a short rifle, an intermediate type gun. Full length upper handguard, and we have side sling mounts, because these were expected to be used kind of by everyone, and that was more of a universal sling method. And finally, we had a cupped steel butt plate. This helped hold the stock together. It also is just kind of more durable and, I don't know, I think aesthetically appealing. So this was their standard gun, adopted in 1939. And originally they adopted it as a short rifle and a long rifle, although as we know, the long rifles really were only made a few of. So we have a new rifle. What we also need is a new rifle for the paratroopers. Both the Japanese Navy, the IJN, and the Oh no, it's like the slings. These old slings, they do that. These rubberized canvas slings always start to crumble. Anyway, the Army also had a paratrooper corps, and the Navy did too. And so they both needed something that their troops could drop in with. Now they were dropping heavy weapons using containers, but those were separate and those could get lost. They wanted something that a soldier could strap onto them, drop out of the plane with, and have assembled pretty much instantly and to go into combat. Thus enter the Type 0. This is based on the Type 99, and by based on, I mean they literally just grabbed Type 99s off the Nagoya production line and cut them in half. Now we're going to get into the exact mechanics in a minute, but essentially they split the barrel from the receiver, they added this block, they added an extra assembly number for the front, and they cut the bolt handle off the bolt, adding a new handle. But otherwise, it is the same gun. In fact, again, these started life as a Type 99 wall. They just put this over it to lock them together. But before we get more into the mechanics of it, let's take it to the range and see how she shoots. Type 99.
That felt like a 22.
Yeah. I'd check your bore.
Yeah, something didn't go right there.
Nope. You didn't really think I was going to shoot this, did you? I've said in other videos, there's nothing wrong with shooting a Mosin or an Enfield or a standard Arisaka. That Type 99 I just took away, that's when I would shoot. However, guns like this that are rare and parts are impossible to find are not ones you want to take to the range, because it's just going to shoot like a regular 99 or worse. No, this is a gun for collectors. So with that, what exactly do we have here, and how does it compare to our Type 2? Well, in 1940, this is what they came up with at Nagoya. Again, they did pull just regular Type 99s off the production line, and they seemed to pull them out around the mid to late 30,000s serials and 50,000s serials. This one is a 50,000s, which is supposedly makes it an Army contract. Again, the Army and the Navy both had paratrooper corps. So the Armies seem to be more or less 50,000s guns, and the Navies have the 30,000s serials. At least that's kind of what's conjectured. Then you can tell a Navy gun because it'll have an anchor up here, little tiny anchor. This, as far as markings, about all you can really make out is what's kind of at the edge of where this block was installed. So that's just the original Type 99 markings. Probably has a mum under it, but yeah. They didn't do a lot. They left the dust cover on. It still has the cleaning rod, still has the AA sights, and it should still have the bipod. That's the one part missing from this gun, is the bipod. But a standard bipod will fit it. But everything else is here. This is a takedown rifle. We have this latch down here. We press it down, and then we can rotate our barrel. Maybe. There we go. Sorry, I went the wrong direction. It happens sometimes, doesn't it? There we go. So you do that. Here's our barrel assembly. Notice how it is here. It's just this thing. We have these interrupted threads in our barrel. pretty much it. As for this little plunger is here. That's what was holding it together. Pull it back, you can see how the barrel would go. This one's a little sticky because of Cosmoline. This guy put Cosmo in everything. It's also why getting it apart, it's a little, you can see the Cosmo coming out there. But better to have it because it really does help preservation. So here's our second half. And so we have pretty small, compact pieces here. Barrel assembly is a little longer than the rear assembly, but not by a whole lot. But we do have this annoying handle sticking out, and they thought of that. That's why they modified the bolt. This actually unscrews. For paratrooping. So now it's pretty much a smooth side. It has two little springs that kind of lightly hold it in, so it doesn't just want to unscrew on its own, but it can be easily screwed in by hand and screwed out. And this is a special, unique bolt handle. It's got the little stem in there. Pretty fancy, pretty small, and pretty easily lost. I guess I've often thought, in fact, make sure it doesn't roll, I'm going to put it in my pocket. I've often thought, I guess in a pinch, you could maybe use a bullet, a cartridge, and jam it in there. But yeah, basically if you lost that small couple inches piece, I get why they did it, because now it's a very smooth side, but in practice, yeah. They did send these out for trials in 1940, 41. They built approximately 500. We don't really have surviving records from Nagoya, but there have been a few interviews with employees there, and at least 3 kind of independently gave that number of 500. And they were basically those 2 batches. But it didn't work out for obvious reasons. The interrupted thread system, that plunger system, it's too delicate. These guns are really not very stable after just a couple of hundred rounds at most. They did try the Type 1, which was actually in 6.5. They took Type 38 carbines, sawed the stock off, and took a hinge off a door essentially and put them on there. Those were done, as far as I know, just for the Navy, but I could be wrong. But really the Type 2 was the one that was fully adopted. And I've done a full video or 2 on this, so you get the idea. Adopted in 1942 and produced until 1944, they would build 21 to 24,000. So not a huge number, but a far cry more than 500. They definitely based this on the Type 0, but instead of using the interrupted thread system, we now have this wedge system, which initially screws in and then comes out, and then it just straight pulls out. Much easier. And what's nice, this is captive, so you're not going to lose it. When it's in, you just screw it back in. That way it's not flopping around. You can tell they kind of learned their lesson. Look in there, yeah. It's just straight, no more interrupted threads. This wedge locks it much tighter. They also learned their lesson with the bolt handle. This is a standard Type 99 handle. They just made do. This one, of course, has the full markings here. They would actually do away with the monopod on the Type 2, but they would keep the aircraft sights, at least for the majority of the production. You can see where the wedge goes under the barrel here. It still does have a nubbin, like the Type 0, but it's fixed. It doesn't recess into the stock now for timing. And a small side note, it uses a slightly shortened cleaning rod because of everything. here is the Type 0 barrel assembly. Hole's a little bigger on this one. Compared to the Type 2. So yeah, very similar. As far as getting them back together, we'd want to just screw on our bolt handle, and I don't know if this was done first or last, but I'm doing it first, so there you have it. Again, it doesn't really want to unscrew, it retains itself okay. And then our barrel assembly. Need to line up the interrupted threads, which I'm not super good at. There we go. And retract this, pull it back far enough, line that up, and then, so this one's a little sticky because of Cosmo. It does have a spring in it, but I'm gonna make sure it locks all the way forward. And there we go. Pretty quick to put together, but definitely more delicate. As for the Type 2, very similar procedure. Make sure our wedge is, this is still not fully screwed in, pulled out. We will drop this in, like so. Put our wedge in. Dog it down good. And there we go. Much tighter fit. And of course, this gun is much newer and seen far less rounds, but it's just a much stabler, better design. The Type 1 never went anywhere either. In fact, they only made about 200 to 300 Type 1s. So the Type 0 is slightly more common, but it's unknown how many in the USA. I know a lot of people ask in the comments, how many are there? No one really knows, but not many, because these are pretty much all vet bring-back guns. Although they were a popular vet bring-back when they actually would find one, because you can understand how this would be very easy to stick in a duffel bag. Yeah, all the other mechanics are the same. The magazine, the trigger, the safety. Because again, they were just modified standard 99s. Usually when you find these, they're in about the same condition because they were made in 1940 and went through all of World War II. And a lot of times the bolt handles are missing, otherwise goobered up. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's actually a small kind of light amount of serration around the bolt handle to make it easy to screw on and off. And again, I apologize, it's got kind of a layer of Cosmo on it too. One day I'll take it off, but not today. So yeah, the Type 0, and that's pretty much all we know. It was issued as kind of an experimental rifle and eventually led to the Type 2, although of course the Type 2, by the time it actually came into service in late 1942, was kind of no longer needed for the most part because Japan was no longer on the offensive by the end of that year, and their paratroopers were no longer jumping out of planes for the most part. But still neat. I mean, takedown guns are always neat. So, hope you enjoyed this. I know there's not just a ton of info out there on the Type 0, and I do think it's Type 0, not Type 100, because of other elements in the Japanese naming system. 0 seems to be more correct, but I will say it's also possible the Navy called it a Type 0 and the Army called it a Type 100, because sometimes the Army would use 100 as the year designator for 1940, but it seems like the Navy always used 0 as the designator for 1940. It's a bit of a conjecture there. I could be wrong, but just my thoughts, and that's why I call it a Type 0. I greatly appreciate you tuning in. I know these Japanese videos aren't the most popular, but they're a lot of fun, and this one I thought was pretty interesting. And as I said in the Gun of the Day video, I've been kind of not even wanting one of these because they were just so uncommon, but thought one day maybe. But I ended up finding this one local, not even 20 minutes from my house, so it's kind of neat. And I got it from the guy who got it from the vet who brought it back. He bought it in the 1960s from the vet, so it's had, counting myself, 3 owners in the USA. So no bring back papers, but something at least. Well, if anyone has a Type 1 they'd like to send me, I wouldn't mind having it to complete my collection. Do appreciate you tuning in. Any questions, please post them. And if you'd like to help support the channel, please check out the link to our Patreon page. This is Misha, and we'll catch you very soon next time.